I now give the floor to the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic.
شكرا.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, and since it's the first time I take the floor under your presidency, I would like to congratulate you on presiding over the Security Council in July. We are confident that you will lead it to success. Mr. President, the Syrian Arab Republic attaches great importance to the humanitarian situation. We have been making great efforts to meet the humanitarian needs of the Syrian people and alleviate its suffering. For this reason, in the previous sessions held by the Security Council on the humanitarian situation, we pointed out the weaknesses and gaps, the impediments imposed by some Western countries, including by politicizing humanitarian work. My delegation, since the beginning of the negotiations on the extension of Resolution 2585, has adopted a clear and constructive approach, whether by pointing out the flaws and the threats represented by the cross-border mechanism, or by exposing the double standards related to the promotion of access from within, and how the implementation of early recovery projects was not serious. We have always stressed that the main reason for the humanitarian crisis in Syria is the wrong policies adopted by the United States of America, France, and the United Kingdom, which continue to mislead. And we have seen that in their statements today. We have seen that very clearly. They pretended that they want to provide humanitarian support to Syrians. My delegation has been frank, and it expressed its fundamental concerns. We have been very open to all the genuine efforts and initiatives to meet the humanitarian needs of all Syrians across Syria without any politicization, discrimination, or marginalization. In this regard, we have detailed the flaws in the implementation of Security Council resolution on the humanitarian situation that we have identified in the past years and months. We exposed the manipulation and misleading carried out by some states, in addition to the catastrophic repercussions of the unilateral coercive sanctions imposed by the United States and the European Union. We called for ending these sanctions and all inhumane and hostile practices. We called for providing genuine guarantees to ensure the effective and transparent implementation of the resolution. My delegation stressed the need to implement early recovery projects. We stressed that they need to include vital sectors such as the electricity sector, which is essential for humanitarian activities, for all humanitarian activities, especially those providing basic services such as health, education, water, and other services. Syrians have been suffering from the lack of electricity for long hours in most Syrian regions due to unilateral, inhumane, coercive sanctions imposed by Western states. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine living without electricity for 1 hour, just 1 hour. Imagine living without electricity for 1 hour to see what Syrians really suffer from. My delegation also called for including a clear reference in the draft resolution to the support of demining and removal of explosive devices planted by terrorist organizations. These operations are important to save the lives of Syrians and facilitate the safe return of refugees and displaced to their homes and their country. Among the main important issues that we have called for is the need for a monitoring, review, and follow-up mechanism for the implementation. This will ensure tangible results in the implementation of early recovery projects. It will ensure that humanitarian assistance delivered through the cross-border mechanism is not delivered to terrorist organizations. This can take place by enabling the Syrian Arab Red Crescent and the ICRC from overseeing the distribution of humanitarian assistance across the country. To ensure the effective implementation of the resolution and measuring of this implementation, we called for extending the resolution for not more than 6 months to allow for a monitoring, review, and follow-up process. Mr. President, my delegation commends the genuine efforts by the Russian Federation to really meet the needs of the humanitarian needs of the Syrians in a balanced and effective way, to ensure the transparent and measurable implementation of the Security Council resolution. With our friends, we have been very flexible to ensure these humanitarian needs of all Syrians are met. My delegation believes that the United States of America and the United Kingdom and France are fully responsible for the failure of the implementation of key provisions in Security Council Resolution 2585. They have been hiding behind the draft resolution tabled by the pen holders. They have been calling for voting for that draft resolution, even though it does not genuinely meet the humanitarian needs. And it does not include any fundamental amendments or improvements that meet the concerns that we have expressed time and again in the Council. This is why such an unbalanced and discriminatory language is unacceptable. These 3 countries that have chosen for years to violate the sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity of Syria, that have chosen to besiege its people, to suffocate its economy, to loot its resources, and to deprive people from their basic needs, they need to be aware that they cannot turn back the clock. This wrong approach that they have adopted should stop. These hostile practices need to change. The starvation of the Syrian people will not serve anybody's interest. My delegation fully agrees with the reasons presented by the Russian delegation, which led the Russian delegation to reject the draft resolution by the pen holders. We commend the steps they have taken to genuinely respond to the humanitarian needs of the Syrians and alleviate their suffering. My delegation would like to thank the Russian Federation for taking the initiative and tabling a draft resolution which supported the implementation of key elements in Resolution 2585 to improve the humanitarian situation in Syria by promoting early recovery projects and increasing their number and their quality, by ensuring assistance is delivered to all those in need from within the country, which will have a positive effect on the humanitarian situation in Syria. My delegation regrets that the balanced draft resolution provided and tabled by the Russian Federation was not adopted. And we deplore the fact that the 3 Western countries, the United States, France, and the United Kingdom, have been so insistent on misleading and disregarding the genuine and objective concerns expressed by my country and the Russian Federation and other countries. They continue to politicize humanitarian work. They continue to impede every genuine effort to alleviate the suffering of people, and they continue to use that as a political blackmail and pressure tool against my country. Mr. President, the draft resolution tabled by the Russian Federation is a genuine attempt to allow the Council to meet its responsibility. This draft resolution exposed the real parties which are fully responsible for the failure in the implementation of the elements of Resolution 2585. Once again, my delegation reaffirms that it stands ready to engage in any positive effort and constructive effort to alleviate the humanitarian suffering of the Syrian people in light of the full respect of the sovereignty, unity, independence, and territorial integrity of the Syrian Arab Republic. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic for his statement.